Hey, I want to just talk a few minutes to young people. Yeah. I realized that when I was first making the videos, I think I had more adults on my mind. And I think that's because I've known so many adults that have taken their lives. But I've also had young people. And I think I mentioned Abel. I always say my Abel in one of the videos. And Abel was a young man that it just blew me away. I'll never forget where I was when I got the call. I was in the middle of Burlington Coat Factory, Grapevine Mills Mall, and I just collapsed. He's not the only one. Another young man who, he was about 16, who had a fight with his girlfriend and ended up going over to her parents' garage where she lived and hung himself in their garage. This whole thing with Trey, my friend that spoke in an earlier video, if you listen to his story started, he said his journey started the day his 13-year-old brother committed suicide. He was only 14. This affects young people. Suicide is not an age thing. In fact, even kids 10, I think it's to 14, the numbers, the statistics have doubled in just the last few years. In fact, it's the number 2 cause of death of young people, ages 10 to 22, I think it is. The second leading cause of all the diseases put together. It's epidemic. So the thoughts you may be thinking, you're not alone in it. But you don't want to be one of those statistics. I'm reaching out because it's so tempting today, and I think it's even, I don't know why it's gotten worse, but I know we're just images of death and suicide, just movies all the time, games and shows and movies and videos that really just kind of romanticize it sometimes, and kids start imagining like who would be at my funeral and how would they feel, someone said it made me mad or whatever, but the truth is you won't even be around to know what happens, so it doesn't do you any good. And the younger the younger kids are going to understand, and statistics is they are more apt to do things impulsively. They're just angry, they're mad, they're having a bad day, bad time. If there's a gun available or something available, they can just go do it and totally zap themselves out of this world. There's a song I think it's by Rascal Flatts. I can't even remember the name of it, but it says, why did you leave the stage in the middle of the song? I just never thought you would leave the stage in the middle of the song. Well, if you're young, your song is just getting started. And to believe the lies that something that's temporary happening right now, you can do something permanent. You might not even mean to. And there's a lot of attempts that people don't die, and you may know friends that do. But there's some kids, the first time they attempt it, they die. There's others that seem like they can make several attempts, but something miraculously, they don't die. Interesting enough that boys, which is the same statistics as adult men, males complete suicide 3 to 4 times more than females. One reason is you guys don't talk about it. You don't talk to others. Girls will chatty up sometimes, but guys just feel like they should do something. That's that shoulding on yourself. I should be this. I should do that. I should be smarter. I should be this or taller or better at this. And girls, I should be skinnier. Or guys, I should be whatever. We can just should on ourselves. Trying to live up to somebody else's standards. Trying to compete with somebody else. Forgetting that I am me and I have purpose in me. If you look in the mirror, and so many kids, they hate themselves, look in the mirror, they feel like they're not enough, they're not skinny enough, they're not smart enough, they're not rich enough, they're not cool enough. They're not whatever enough. And other kids are cruel. Bullying. Hurting people hurt people. I want to acknowledge that pain. Oh my gosh. Things that kids suffer today. I see why the suicide rate is so high. And the drug use, just self-medicating. I guess I've seen a glimpse of the dark side of the world, maybe more than average people. We were foster parents for 14 years. Kids don't get in foster care just because their life is hunky-dory. It's because they've had some hell in their life. I worked with incarcerated young people in the juvenile system for years. I saw the horrible, cruel things, the unkind things that kids can do to each other, that done to them and by them. Yeah. So whatever's happened, you're listening to me today, you might have already been through some stuff. You may be in the middle of stuff. I know kids that have lived through or going through being abused, sexually abused. They've been molested. They ain't talking about it. They hide it. Kids that are struggling with their own sexuality and they hide it. Kids that are struggling with the divorce of their parents, or they feel the rejection of friends, or they feel just like they can't win for losing. There's very good reasons. These are real stuff. It's real pain. You don't have to be adult to have severe pain, emotional pain. But let me tell you something. Your songs just got started. Every new day is new possibilities. I want you to go and look at the questions that I've asked on here. The first question and there's a form that you can print out, right? Or you just write these down. But it's simple. First of all, what would be bad enough that would merit me taking my life? You need to think about that before you get in one of those terrible moments. You know, if I'm thinking about really contemplating taking my life, or that might be an option I want to leave on the table just in case things get bad, what would getting bad mean? What would merit that? Number two, who would that hurt? Or let's say this, who would be affected by your suicide? And I'm not just talking about your mom and daddy. I'm talking about your siblings. I'm talking about your cousins. I'm talking about your aunts, your uncles, your teachers, your friends, your grandma, your grandpa. I've watched my mother suffer the death of her granddaughter. She's like, there's nothing I wouldn't have done for you. Nothing. There's people in this world, there's nothing I wouldn't do to help you. And you think they don't understand. They don't have to understand everything. Sometimes you just not being able to say what's really going on or find the right people. But keep trying. Guys, things change. There's kids taking their lives over a breakup, over a boyfriend or girlfriend, that they look back down the road and go, ooh, thank God for unanswered prayers. I'm sure glad I didn't end up with them. But you know what? If you never had another boyfriend, and never had a girlfriend, never wanted one, never whatever, is it worth taking your life? So I want you to also write down number 3. What are some reasons I want to live? These are some things you have yet to do. What are some reasons I really do want to live? Instead of like, I just want to die, but you probably don't really want to die. You probably just want to stop hurting. So you need to write down, what do I want to live for? Or number 2, or in that A-B, the B would be, and what are some reasons that I need to live? What are some things I need to stick around for? And if you've answered those questions, the next thing you may want to say is then write down, these are the reasons I will never take my life. There's a lot of things I might do in life, and killing myself ain't one of them. There may be a lot of ways I may have to try to find out how to end my pain, but it ain't going to be by killing myself. I'm not going to take my life. I'm going to stick around and see what my Creator has for me that's other than what I just had right now. I don't care what the past has been. I don't care how bad it's been. It does not determine the future. And the last question is what are some other options that you have besides ending your life? What are some other things that you can do to end your pain, to be able to get some relief? Who could you talk to? What could you do besides that? And so that you can sit there and say, yeah, I think I'm going to have hard times, but suicide is just not going to be one of those things I'm going to do. That's not who I am. I'm not going to be one of those people that they kill themselves. That's just not me. And only you have the power to take that off the table. And you do have the power. You may not be able to help a lot of stuff. And if you've ever been victimized, you can be careful, because you can start thinking you're a victim, like you're powerless, you're helpless. No, you're not. You're not powerless. You have the power to take that off the table. Only you have the power to be able to make the decision. Why don't you let your life finish its song? Don't be one of those that just walks out in the middle of the song. Don't leave the stage. Stick around. Let's see what else there is in your future. I just want to make sure you have a future.